Hello, beautiful internet family. My name is Dan Davis, and I'm the creative director here at danstube.tv. And today I'm very excited for this collaboration that's about to happen between Henrik from Tech Drone Media and myself. Henrik actually just reached 100,000 subscribers on his channel, so if we could give him some love in the comments, that would be amazing. He's got his little play button in the back there. But in today's video, we're actually going to be talking about the DJI Air 3. So both of us have got a bunch of content on our channel, so definitely go and check out both of our channels after this live stream, just to get some more insights into the drone itself. But in this video, we kind of want to condense everything that we have learned so far about the drone after a month's use and just help you make the right buying decision, help you decide if this is the right drone for you. We're going to cover a bunch of different topics. We're going to talk about the 4K 100 frames per second, which is the slow motion offering on the Air 3. We'll talk about noise comparison. Henrik will talk through the noise comparison. I'll discuss the vertical video options that are available. Then we'll talk about obstacle avoidance. So Henrik's got a test that he's done, and I had a devastating crash while using active track. So I'll show you what happened there and talk through why I think that happened. Henrik will then talk through the ascent and descent speeds, because they are different on the Air 3 compared to some other drones out there. And then I'll discuss waypoints and cruise control, and Henrik will then finish off by discussing the night footage. So as you're watching, definitely leave those comments, and we'll get around to comments in between each section. And then we'll have a Q&A, I guess, at the end where we can answer some more questions. But thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for letting me be on the show.
Of course.
It's always nice to address a new audience. And it's always nice to talk to you about the stuff that we have both shared experience around. So,
but what we'll do is I'll jump straight into the 4K 100 frames per second, which is probably my favorite feature. Here's the drone here for people wondering. After my crash, actually, the camera does kind of poke down a little bit, which is a little bit annoying. Thank you, Roy, for confirming that the audio is fine. What I'll do now is I will jump into sharing my screen. Again, you can check out our videos on both of our channels to kind of get like a little bit more of an in-depth look into this stuff. But what I'll do is I'll just play it. I'll keep it muted. But these are some of the clips that I got 4K 100 frames per second with the whales as they were migrating. It's a beautiful time in Australia right now as they're migrating. So I've just got a few different clips here. This was another 4K 100 FPS. And what's really cool is you can actually use both of the camera systems. That's actually one of my favorite things. So you can use the 70mm 3x optical zoom, and you can use that wide angle as well, the 24mm. So that's something that's really cool, because sometimes what can happen is they can limit some of these features, like they might limit it so the wide angle is the only one that can do it. But I love it how both camera systems are capable of a lot of the features that we'll be discussing today. Here's just another
it's almost all of them, I think, is available on both cameras. So it's that's super awesome.
Yeah, I think the only difference is just the aperture. I think it's like f1.7 on the wide and then f2.8, I want to say.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. So there we go. So I've got some clips there. I think, it's best to check out this stuff for yourself, because obviously we're streaming, so the quality is going to dip. But here's an example of like a whale flipping 4K 100 frames per second. Perfect for examples like that, right? Because, it is kind of hard to capture moments like that, like those fleeting moments, because the whale breaches and then that's it. It's done. So it's like a very short period of time to capture that moment. But yeah, I think, those kind of highlight some of the slow motion there. This one here, I just wanted to quickly show before I pass over to you, Henrik. But this is actually what the, let me just quickly share my screen again. So this one here.
So what was the reason for choosing the 100 FPS option for capturing those? Is because you wanted them, the playback to be, to be able to slow it down?
Yeah. So because like the slow motion natively captures 4K 100 frames per second, so you don't actually really have to play around with the footage much. It's like straight up in slow motion immediately. So for moments like that, when I'm trying to capture some marine life, I would use the 70mm, and then I'd also crop the image as well, so I'd be a distance away from the marine life. But then because it's captured in slow motion natively, it means that then I can crop it to post on my socials, and then my editor can tweak it and play around with it as he needs to. So yeah, I just find that to be really usable for a lot of content, it just kind of works for the flow that I'm going for. So yeah, just this one here is this is what that 3 times looks like. So the thing that I love about it is it does give a complete different perspective. Like it gives a lot of layer to the images. If I was to capture this in wide, I'd have to be a lot closer to these houses to give this kind of perspective here. But yeah, that's just a normal 4K 60, but that's using the 3 times. So I think that's a really cool point to highlight there, just the different perspective, because that one there, that right there is the wide camera. So it definitely does give a completely different perspective when you look at the two.
Yeah.
So there's just one quick one coming up here, and then we will pass over to you. Yeah, just another little, there you go, 4K up to 100 frames per second, works on both the wide angle and the medium teller. So again, you know, those moments were like 2 seconds. The whale jumps up for 2 seconds. So if I was to film that normally, I wouldn't have much footage to play around with.
Yeah, that makes sense. I actually heard rumors that the tuners are starting to jump here in the lakes close to where I live. So I have been wondering if I should go and see if I could catch some of those. It's not very common to have those around here. So that'd be very unique. To see if I can capture that. But of course, the whales, they're like much larger animals and will probably look a lot more impressive on video than the tunas.
Yeah, but it depends though, right? Like if there's a lot of tuna, that could look really cool. So just quickly, because I got my note here, I really wanted to show this right at the beginning of the video, and then I'll pass it over to you, Henrik. This is something that not too many people have spoken about. Flight Path, the YouTube channel Flight Path, was where I actually discovered this. But what's really cool is with the battery charging hub, this is the hub that you get. Normally you just press the button once and it indicates, you know, your battery levels there. But what you can actually do with this charging hub is you can press it once and it will go yellow, and then you press and hold as if you were powering on your drone, and it will start going green. And then what it will do is it'll actually trickle charge. This won't be a great example because all the batteries are full, but it will start trickle charging into the battery that has the most charge. So let's say, for example, you've flown 2 batteries and both of them are on 2 bars. It would then start trickle charging from the one with 2 into the other one, so that one's going to be a fuller battery when you fly. So you don't have to keep changing your batteries. So yeah, that's a really cool feature that seems to be exclusive to the Air 3 charging hub.
And one that I didn't know.
There we go.
So thank you.
All right. So you were going to talk about, because I realize I've been talking a fair bit. You were going to talk about your the noise comparison that you did.
Yeah, of course. When you're buying a new drone, it's of course noise that comes into mind, because you want to be able to fly the drone around. And maybe some of you can remember the early Mavic Air drones. They were really, really aggressive in the sound. And I had, for at least personal experience, a lot of encounters based on that drone, because that was annoying people. So that's why I'm very keen to understand what is the noise level when I'm buying a new drone. And we can just play it, because then you can listen and you can hear the difference.
Let's start out with the Air 3.
Take off.
So these are basically the results from the 1.2 meters, and not surprisingly, the Mini 3 Pro comes out at the bottom. It's significantly more quieter than the Mini in the Mavic 3 and the Air 3. Sorry about the spelling error and the bottom. But I also repeated the test. I actually did it in 10 meters, and I also did it in 30 meters, but I've just included the 10 meter test here. What you can see here is that basically the Air 3 comes out at the same level as the Mavic 3 Classic, and the Mini 3 Pro is significantly lower. This is not a surprise. So the reason why these two are basically at the same level, the Air 3 and the Mavic 3 Classic, because you would kind of expect that one to be higher because it's an even larger drone. But I think it comes down to regulation in Europe. So maybe it's not affecting you guys as much as it does here, because there are limitations to how loud the drone is allowed to be. And that's the C1 class identification label that kind of dictates the upper level. And that's around 80, 81 dBA, allowed to go higher than that. So that's probably the reason why these two drones come out at the same level. But the conclusion is that it is significantly more loud than the Mini 3 Pro, which you can, if you fly it, let's say, at 50 meters height, you can basically fly it around without nobody's notice. That would not be the case with the Air 3. Would be my sort of
So I'll just bring that chart back up again so people can see that.
No, not really. Yeah, that these drones were basically at the same level. Of course, thinking about it, I would have maybe could have made the conclusion just from the specs, but it was nice to see it confirmed in real life. Yeah. And also the feeling that the Mini 3 Pro is a lot quieter is kind of confirmed. Oh, that's just something you need to be aware about. It's not a problem, but it's something you need to be aware of, especially if you're flying around areas with a lot of people sitting outside enjoying the sun. There's more likely to run into problems with a noisy drone than with one that's less noisy.
Yeah, of course. So we do have a bunch of questions from Zane here. I'm just going to pop one up there. So what factors contribute to the pricing differences between the DJI Air 3 and its predecessors, and what benefits does the Air 3 offer for the price? So I guess we're kind of covering a lot of that as we're going through these different features. One thing that's interesting, I find, is a lot of debates that have been going on out there about the Air 2S having a larger sensor, right? And also being capable of 5.4K. What have your experiences been, though? Like when you think about the two, the Air 3 and the Air 2S?
Unfortunately, I sold my Air 2S, so I haven't been able to do like a heads-on comparison. But judging from the video quality, I bet there's nobody that will be able to tell the difference. And they will probably think that everything looks more vibrant and sharp coming out of the Air 3 than from the Air 2S. But of course, realistically, it is a downgrade. It is a smaller sensor, and it is sort of a less resolution. I would really like to see a comparison one-to-one with footage that is taken under the same conditions to see if you can actually spot it. And I know there's this marketing talk about the different type of sensor, and that one is backlit and the other one is not, and that should make a difference and basically play to the advantage of the Air 3. But again, without seeing footage side by side, it's really hard to make that assessment other than just your personal preference.
Yeah, of course. And I noticed that when I did my comparison, I noticed that a lot of people wanted that. A lot of people were asking for that pure side by side. So I have actually filmed a video to upload to the channel where I filmed on the same day. It was blue skies. There were no clouds, so there were no issues with it being overcast for one shot, not for the other. So I really tried to test the two in the same kind of scenario, same kind of framing. So hopefully that will help people see the difference from my reviews, like when I've looked through the different footage that I've got. Yeah, like you said, I don't think you can really notice that much of a difference. Like the Air 3 stack sensors, the sensor technology has already advanced so far anyway. Like when you think about when the Air 2S was released, that was years ago. So, I mean, I think
and honestly, how often did you use the 5.4?
Yeah, exactly right.
Never. Because there were so many limitations. You couldn't do tracking. You couldn't do. There was a lot of stuff that you couldn't do in 5.4K. So I never used it. I filmed everything in 4K 30 because that gave me access to everything. So it's
And also, not to mention file size, right? The file sizes were massive for 5.4K. It's like I didn't want to deal with those files.
But I understand why people are asking, because the Air 2S is still a super capable drone, and if you have it, maybe there's no reason to upgrade.
Exactly right.
But you are getting some really good advantages by doing the shift. As you're saying, the drone is old by now. It's being hit pretty hard in Europe after the end of 2023. This will not be allowed to fly other places than in the Air 3 if you're flying the open category, which basically means that you need to keep 150 meters horizontal distance to urban areas. So it's kind of taking the fun out of that drone. The battery life is significantly longer on the Air 3. It's you have the full 360 obstacle avoidance, which, to my surprise, you managed to crash.
Yeah, believe me, I was surprised as well.
But at least I can promise that it's a lot better than the obstacle avoidance that is on the Air 2S.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Cool. All right. Well, let's jump over to the vertical video side of things. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, or are you happy to move on to vertical video?
I think we should move on.
Yep.
There'll probably be we need to have a little time in the end for questions, because there will be a lot of them.
That sounds good.
I can see already.
Let me jump into this video. Try to find the right one. Here it is. Okay, there we go. So these are some of the native vertical videos that I captured. I don't know if the audio is coming through. I don't think it is.
I love this when you're recording these videos, that it actually makes this transparent thingy on the side.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Okay, sorry.
No, you go. What were you going to say?
It's just makes it a lot more appealing when you do them, that you have this. Yeah,
100%. Yeah. And yeah, that's the one thing that did surprise me about it. So the options you have are 2.7K 60 FPS or 1080p 60 FPS. So there are no 4K options here. But yeah, like you said, when it records, it literally looks like this. So you have the highlighted part in the middle, which is the actual area that's going to be filmed. And then the outside is kind of blurred out. But I think it's so helpful that you still get to see the whole frame. Because when you use the Mini 3 Pro, like it flips the camera. So it physically flips it. So then you can only see what the camera can see, you know? So I do find this to actually be pretty helpful, because it gives you a chance to see the frame, whatever you're going to move into, gives you a chance to kind of prepare for it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
So you see the cutout basically that you're going to frame. So that's nice.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty cool. There, you can still use most of the features in the vertical video mode. It's pretty versatile, pretty reliable. I guess the only limitation would be that there are no 4K options. But, when you think about capturing anything for social media, like most people are posting their vertical videos as 1080p anyway, or 2.7K. So I think it's good enough.
These go on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. They are not going on your 4K television.
Yeah, exactly right. And moments like this, I guess this is the only thing. Like when I captured this moment, it was filmed as a vertical video, so it meant that I had no option to then obviously use it as anything else. So I guess that's just something you got to be mindful of. That it is just filming purely in vertical, so that's all you can use.
But if we have to be critical, it is a downgrade from the Mini 3 Pro actually, because you don't have the 4K option with this drone.
Yep. That's exactly right. Yep. Yeah. So the Mini 3 Pro, you're getting that native. They're just it's the native. It's not cropped.
It's 16:9 that becomes 9:16 because you turn the whole camera. There's the whole sensor that's being flipped around. So it's
exactly. And you get that 4K. So that's a good point actually. The Mini 3 Pro, if you're looking for vertical video content, if you are someone that's really into social media, then maybe that is a reason to get the Mini 3 Pro. I've just got one other little video here. This was a nice little moment actually. Just make sure that I've got it sharing. So this was again when I was trying to capture some of the whales, and this little baby whale here was playing around with this dolphin that was like swimming in front of its mum. So it kind of goes a little bit and then it starts smashing its head down. So it starts chasing the little dolphin. So that was a special little moment. But again, I captured it in the vertical video option. So I have no option to do it any other way. It's now just purely a vertical video, but still.
Is this something that happens often close to where you live? That you can go watch these whales?
Yeah. So
or was that the one-off? Or
no, so it's happening now. I went out the other day to go and get, some more kind of whale content, and also on the weekend I'm going. So whale season's for like 3 months. I think it's 3 or 4 months, and they basically just migrate up the north. They go. Well, we'll just say north. I'm probably completely wrong, but they migrate up north. So they're going up to the warmer waters. So there are a few key spots where there's like little islands that poke out into the water a little bit. So the whales try to stay relatively close to those islands. So it's perfect. When I was capturing those videos, I was only maybe 300-400 meters flying the drone out. I wasn't flying into the middle of the ocean. It was not far out from me. So, and that's what the controller looks like when you're recording. So like we showed before, that's how it all pops up. And you can still use the 3 times as well as the 1 time. So again, they don't limit anything, which is one of my favorite things about
and tracking works as well. In this format.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's super nice.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay.
So what's next on the list?
We've got the obstacle avoidance. So you're going to show your test, and then I'm going to show my devastating loss.
So obstacle avoidance. Of course, I was super excited to learn that this drone is at 360 optical avoidance, meaning that it has these protruding lenses that goes in 4 corners.
Mm-hmm.
They cover the full drone, so I was super excited about that. And of course, I thought we're gonna put it to a test and see how well it would perform if I put it in under some really sort of crazy conditions. So I was visiting my father, and he has some areas of his plot that is not that well trimmed, where there's a lot of branches and stuff. So I decided to kind of take the drone and take it for a walk, and I've made a small video showing a little bit of it, and we might want to kill the audio on that one. I can do that from my side. So what I'm doing there, I'm going in there on the right into that area. And then I let the drone basically do whatever it needed to do to detect this. I of course I know this is summertime, so there's a lot of leaves on the branches, and that makes it a little bit easier for it to detect what's going on. Mm-hmm. But I was not seriously considering that it would be able to do this. I would expect it to lose track of me all the time. So what I did here is now to increase the excitement of this and make it look a lot better is that I switched into the telephoto lens, because that makes it look a lot more dramatic. You see, it looks like I'm almost sort of hitting the branches, and this is just an optical illusion, of course. And then I'm just walking, and I'm actually, the drone is maybe, I don't know, 10 meters behind me. I do find that sometimes it has a little bit, it kind of struggles. It needs to track you, but it also needs to avoid obstacles. So it's not so easy to predict, to make like a smooth recording with this. But look at this, it's just trying to figure its way out. And there I would definitely say that it would never figure this out. Oh, I've got the last part of the video. Why did I not? I didn't include the last part of the video. Okay, sorry about that. But it actually found its way through this passage and came out on the other side. Okay, so that cut off a little bit too fast, but it actually made its way through this passage.
That little gap. Wow.
That little gap there, yeah.
That's cool. I'm just going to
So I was super surprised that it could actually handle this. And then in some other situations, it kind of lost me and did what I expected it to do. It just stopped and wouldn't kind of continue. So it's a little bit hit and miss, but I would say I'm truly impressed about the capabilities of the obstacle avoidance. That's for sure. But you might change my opinion on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll show you my my little test here. I'll just say hi to a few people. So Send Studios, thank you so much for jumping in. You were saying you thought it was upcoming, but to your surprise, it was live. So thank you so much for tuning in. And also we've got Stealth Shinobi. I have both Air 2S and Air 3. Air 3 wins overall, but I still like the Air 2S low light photos better since I shoot mostly night cityscape shots. And I guess that would probably be because of the larger sensor that you're noticing the improvements. Right. Thank you for sharing. And also the X-Wing, sorry. Hi to both yous from Melbourne, Australia. Hi to you as well from Brisbane, Australia. Thank you for tuning in. All right. So let me jump over to my little test here.
I think you should test that at some point, the night photo difference between these two, if you have both drones available.
Yeah, that could be a good one, actually. So this was my extreme active track test, and as you can see from the title, it has gone wrong. And the drone has still, I think I actually have to send it in for repair, unfortunately. I'm noticing that when I'm flying now, the camera is slowly like panning down for me. Or sorry, tilting down, not panning. So it's like occasionally when I'm moving forward, it will like tilt down a little bit. So I have to adjust the movement as I'm flying, which is really frustrating. So I think the gimbal's a little bit broken, but it's still functional. So I've done this test multiple times. So I've done this with the Mini 3 Pro and also the Mavic 3 series. So it's the same area that I go in. You can see it's very dense there. But this was me using the 3 times, and you can see it like fully moves around, like it's almost looks like it's on a slider, moving in all sorts of directions. Everything was fine. It was doing a really good job here. It did lose me a little bit here, but overall I was pretty impressed with what it was able to do. One thing I did notice though, from
even worse than what I did.
Yeah, it was a little bit sketchy. I was definitely nervous flying it here. You can see it lost me here, and it couldn't get a hold of me. It just kept trying to move around. So this was me trying to go in more of an open area. One thing I did notice, though, which didn't seem to be the case with the Mini 3 Pro or the Mavic 3, is like this kind of height here. This is pretty normal for the tests that I've done. But I found with the Air 3, it started to increase in altitude a little bit. So you can see here, it's starting to pull up. And that's actually where the issue came, because there are a lot of tiny little branches, and then there we go. Oh, the ad break. Of course we get an ad break. So let me just show that again. So I'm like going back here, and it just hits the branch, kind of gets caught up. And you think, okay, yeah. So that was the first little hit that it had.
Okay.
So I tried to pull it down. I tried to manually pull the height down, as you can see. And then straight when I go into active track, you can see it starts increasing in altitude. So that was something that didn't seem to happen with the other two drones. And then this is where the big crash happens. You can see all the sensors, they're all red. You can see it's noticing things are around it. And then I think this is where it hits. So for some reason,
that's exactly what I talked about, because there's no leaves on these branches. At least they are small. So maybe that makes it harder for it to pick it up.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, that's what a few people commented on my video, saying that because I tested it when there were no leaves. Here we go. So it hits, kind of gets caught, spins a little bit, and then boom. There we go. So all of the propellers, you'll see a little shot here. Let me just skip a little bit to where I show the damage. So this is the drone. You can see all the tips are broken off. So they're normally orange on the tips of the actual propeller.
Also, it's jacket, the first. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then that one got caught up. But you can see the actual gimbal is like leaning down now, because it did take a lot of the impact when it fell. So yes,
so maybe it's worth sending it in for getting it fixed.
I think I need to go and get it repaired. So that was not too fun. That was not too fun at all. But I mean, good to do the test. A bunch of people said that it was helpful to know, because that area there is actually like a mountain bike track, and a lot of the videos that DJI publish are showing people in really dense bushy areas, or and the drone's weaving between everything, and it doesn't seem to have an issue. And I was at a walking pace then, so imagine if I was on a bike.
Good
Impressive
test.
Regardless.
Good test, but not so good outcome.
Not a great outcome. I'd love to know in the comments if anyone else has been testing active track in any other scenarios, because I guess that's more of an extreme, maybe unrealistic scenario for a lot of people. But let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I've been flying around some wind turbines. I've been doing a lot of that. My active track video is actually around that, where it's chasing my car. And at some point, I actually thought it would collide with the wind turbine. It had directly sort of the direction towards the pillar of the wind turbine. But it dodged it and went around it, and did a perfectly fine job. And I also did like a maximum speed test with it, where I tried to push it to the maximum, to 60 kilometers an hour, where I was also riding in my car, of course, to see if it could follow along. And then in that part, the obstacle avoidance was disabled. So it's So the tracking is definitely a step up. It's not always as predictable as I would like it to be, the active track part. I don't know if you found the same, that if you try to position the drone on the side, you kind of expect it would stay there plus minus a few degrees. But it kind of lags behind. I don't know if it needs time to process the subject, or it can't identify that if you're saying it needs to stay on the side, which is actually the side of the object, that it gets confused. But it tends to sort of go towards the back when you go somewhere, regardless what you choose on this small dial that you can see in the UI.
Yeah, no, I found that as well. I noticed that when I was testing the Mavic 3, so that was the first drone, I believe, that had that directional tracking, where you could choose where the drone would track you from. And during the early stages, it basically wouldn't change direction. So it would stay in the same position even if you tried to change direction. I did find actually with the Air 3, it was able to do it when it noticed that I was a person. It was fine when I was walking, it was able to track me. But when I was trying to do it with a boat, it wouldn't change direction. And I remember the Mavic 3 had the same issue. It was later on that they had to do a firmware update that then allowed it to actually catch up to the boat and go in the front or to the side. So I don't know whether that's just something they're trickling out to make sure that it's still safe. But yeah, I have had some issues with the directional tracking.
It's difficult. I think it's difficult for them to figure out if you see a car from the side, which is basically the front and the back. Maybe the same for a boat. I don't know. Yeah. Room for improvement there.
Yeah, 100%.
If you want a specific shot, because you want the side shot. Of course, you want the side shot because those are really, really cool, especially with the 70mm. You can get and you get the lens compression. It's really, really cool if you film something from the side and the background is compressed towards you. And it'd be nice just to put it out there and it would stay there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 100%. All right. So we're going to go on to the ascent and descent speed now.
Yeah. I was actually looking. I should probably have looked this up beforehand. I was trying to see what the ascent and descent speed are from some of the other drones, but that's a little bit too much for me too. You have it?
I have it written down somewhere.
I have it here for the Mini 3 Pro. That is 5 meters per second ascent and descent speed for this, and with the Air 3 we get a significant boost. It's like 10 meters a second, both in ascent and descent speed. And I just made a little video here outside my house just to show you. So if you could just share the video. I have prepared.
This one, though?
So, yes, this one.
Yeah.
So
let me just, before you quickly jump into that, so I've got it written down here. Yeah. So for the Mavic 3 Classic, which I believe would be the whole Mavic 3 series, the ascent speed is 8 meters per second, and the descent speed is 6 meters per second. And then we've obviously got 10 meters per second.
For the Mini 3 Pro?
Yeah.
And then 10 meters per second for the Air 3. So it should be faster than the rest of the bunch. So so I could just play the test now here.
Oh, it's like a rocket.
Yeah, you see it hits 10 meters per second. I should probably have gone further up, but it almost gets to 9.2 or something on the way down. But for some reason, it doesn't seem like equally dramatic.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. So go back to the beginning again there. So how long did it take it to reach 10 meters per second?
So let's just try it again.
Pretty quickly by the looks of it.
Yeah. So.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah. Around 30 meters.
Quick acceleration on
it. Yeah. It's my house, by the way.
It's famous.
It would be kind of odd if I was sitting in somebody else's house.
Yeah, that would be actually. Just testing the speed. Yeah, why not? Oh, that's cool. And it does make a big difference, because having the increased ascent and descent speed, like if anyone's flown a drone before, you would know that birds can be the biggest pain in the bum, like they're just constantly darting down trying to catch your drone. And to have that faster ascent speed, you can get away from birds a lot quicker. So it actually does make a big difference. It's not just about trying to launch to get a shot, which obviously is another benefit, being able to get to a spot straight away, but it is a big benefit if you're trying to avoid birds. Cool. All right, so let's go on to the waypoints and cruise control. So this for me was actually quite surprising that they brought this across, because I guess I'm aware that with any product line, any company doesn't want to shoot themselves in the foot by releasing a product that's better than their previous product. And I feel like the Air 3 has got so much going for it. It does have this waypoint feature, which was Mavic 3 exclusive for a long time. We've had waypoints in the past, but, recently the Mavic 3 was the only real DJI drone that had decent waypoints in that consumer range. And yeah, to see that on the Air 3, I was genuinely surprised. I didn't think they would bring that across. So let me just show my little quick test here. And from the comprehensive test that I've done with waypoints on the Mavic 3 and the Air 3, I have noticed that, it's quite an extensive offering for the waypoints. It's not a dumbed down version, which is again something they could have done. People would have been angry, but they could have made it a lesser offering. But I found that I could use all the different focal points. I could customize it on the map, all the different speed and point of interest and whatnot. And I found it to be, it was a decent offering, the waypoints. So I had to adjust it here because I didn't know what the framing was.
I actually noticed something that I thought you should fly the mission. I know you can do that and set the waypoints manually, but you can actually set them on the map.
Yeah. So you can do it both ways. You can either manually set them or do it that way.
Apparently, I haven't done a dedicated video on waypoints yet, because otherwise it would be pretty embarrassing if I didn't know that.
Could be a good one to do though, yeah, because you can, you literally can do them. Like you said, you can press the C1 button, I think it is.
Yeah, and C2
depending on
to
what
remove
control
it again. That's how I used it. So C1 to set it and C2 to remove it.
Yeah, but you can also do what I've done here, which is set it on the map. And the other thing I've done in the past actually is I've set it when I was at home. So I was sitting at home and I would just jump into the map, and I knew where I wanted to go, and I knew roughly the height of the building that I wanted to film. It was like a boat ramp. So I knew roughly, I was like, okay, well, the height of that's going to be about 15 meters. And I thought, well, if I set my waypoints at about 30 meters, the drone would be slightly looking down. And I did everything at home, took it out, and the mission was great. It wouldn't happen in every scenario because you wouldn't know the context of, the different heights of the places that you're going to. But you can set it at home, which is really cool. All right, and let me just show this other one. So this is the cruise control option, which again is a little bit of an underrated one. I've said this in many videos, but this actually allows you to, as the name suggests, just like you would in a car, press cruise control and it will set the speed. It will also set like any other input that you've put in the controller. So on your controller, if you're looking to the left and you're also increasing in altitude and you're also trying to pull back, you can put in multiple different inputs, and straight when you press cruise control, it's going to lock that. You can see in the bottom left there, it's locking out the height because I'm slowly increasing. Oh no, I think I left it there. So the height's locked, but then
I really love that feature. When I kind of knew about it from the Mini Mavic 3 Classic, it was really an impressive feature.
Yeah, it is very
it's a simple
handy.
one, but it's very useful.
Yeah, and it's a little bit underrated because you have to go into the settings to change it. It's not something that like jumps out at you. It's not like an intelligent flight mode. You have to go into the settings and then program one of the buttons on the back. So whether it's the C1 or the C2, if you've got the RC2 or whatever controller you've got. But then once you press that, so you can put in multiple inputs, like I was saying, look to the, you can pan, look up, go in all different directions, and straight when you press cruise control, it's going to lock it at that perpetual rate that it's moving. So you can get some really cool footage that you wouldn't be able to get.
The manual point of interest, if you do that, it will continue orbiting around. It's like, so if you, like you're saying, multiple inputs. So if you do a manual point of interest, you can just press cruise control and then you continue doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
right.
nice.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really cool feature. I don't think enough people talk about it, but it is a really cool feature.
And it's an idea for a video.
And someone's got an idea for you for a video. Send Studios. Henrik, I don't think you've made a video yet about the differences in laws in Europe regarding the Air 3, since it's C1.
Yeah, that's probably right. I haven't covered that specifically. Not for the C1 drones, no. I have one that is covering the sub 250 gram drones, but not one for the C1. It's a huge difference if you compare it against the Mavic 3 Pro, which is a C2 drone. That means that you need like a pilot certificate, the A2 competence certificate. I don't know if you know that, but that's sort of the level above the normal A1, A3 certificate, and that is quite extensive. You need to apply, at least in most of the member states, you need to apply a physical school and do like an exam and stuff like that to get that. So it's not easy to fly a C2 drone. Apply to a lot of rules when you're flying it in urban areas. So it's a lot more difficult than it is if you buy a C1 drone. And this is where the Air 3 really has strength, at least in Europe. Not in Europe. I don't want to offend people from Britain. In the EU. They're still a part of Europe, Britain.
Cool. All right, so Henrik's going to show us some night footage now. And while we're going through that, this is your chance to drop any questions you've got in the comments. So we're at about the 45-minute mark. We'll probably do questions for 10 minutes or so, depending on what we have. There's a few that I can go back to. But this is your chance to start asking any questions that you might have about the Air 3 or anything else that might be relevant.
Right now, it's not a very complicated shot. I just took it outside a house when we went visiting some relatives, and then I thought I would just put the drone up in more or less the same position. This is during daytime, in the afternoon. So with this kind of the reference, there's some tents and stuff over here. It's just sort of an urban area. And then I would repeat the test on different times. And the next time that I did was basically during the blue hour. So it's right out of the sunset. So just to try and test the capabilities here. And this is I guess normal mode. This is what it would look like if you're not using the night mode feature. And it's with the neutral exposure, so it's not overexposed or anything. So then I'm switching it into night mode. And what basically happens here behind the scene is that it expands on the ISO. So the gain of the sensor is going from 6400 to 12,800, I think it is. So you're getting you're getting more, basically magnification of the signal that goes into the sensor. And if I'm switching it into 3 times, you can see here now I've enabled I just need to switch here so you can stop it when I'm talking here. So let me just jump one back here. You see, this is with the 3 times with the telephoto lens. And you see when I'm using the normal mode here, you can see the ISO is bumped to the max 6400, and the shutter is pushed towards the bottom 1/30. And as I'm shooting 4K 30 FPS, it can't go lower than that. So you can't get more light in than what we see here. Stop it there. So this is the night mode. You see the ISO now is at 12,800, and actually the shutter speed is set to 1/60. And that leads to an image that is kind of overexposed with the 1.7 stop. So what I can do here now to bring that down is I can increase the shutter speed, because I don't have a variable aperture. So I don't have a way of sort of limiting this. So okay, so I just messed around with this, but as you can see, it's usable, the footage as it is during the blue hour. So it's kind of a nice what you can capture with this. It is so we can see everything what's going on in the image. I've done it in a way so sort of the red line that you see in the image, that's what the real picture, and what's outside the red line is basically what the screen recorder has captured, so we can see the number. We can see everything that's going on here. Then it's after midnight. It's pitch black. See, it's getting significantly more difficult to see anything. We can only see stuff where there's actually light provided. That could be like done a separate video completely around this topic, but I'm just trying to zoom in on the mall over there, just to get something that you can see. And you can still see what's going on, but there's nothing much else visible outside this mall in the center. And we talked a little bit about images. I included a few images here. These are basically photos taken from this place. And you can see if we play a little bit around with the parameters here, because with the photo, I can make the shutter speed so slow that I can actually get sufficient amount of light in, which I could not really do with video. So I can create some images that are worth capturing. So I would say photo mode, it's doing a pretty good job. In video, it's dark outside, and it also shows that it's dark on the footage.
So in the dark spots, was there much noise in the image, like graininess?
Yeah, there is actually much noise. I don't know if you can see it here. I think that's easier than it is for me just to scroll around in this more or less unorganized clip here. But I did sense noise there. But you have, from the settings, you have the option that you can go in and play around with noise reduction. So maybe that can be minimized. But these are more or less the raw captures that you can see from the drone.
Oh, yeah.
So don't expect it to be able to see in the dark.
The other thing to note is that the night mode is capped to 4K 30 as well.
Yeah,
There's no other
that's a good
option.
point.
But
That's a good point.
nice.
Yes.
So have you done many other night tests with other drones?
Yeah, I have done one with the Classic, and I also done one with the Mini 3 Pro. The Mini 3 Pro can't see anything in the dark. Yeah, it was actually not the Mini 3 Pro. It was actually the Mini 3 that I used for a night test at a harbor here local close by. And that was no doubt that the Mavic 3 Classic with the Micro Four Thirds sensor does a significantly better job at capturing low light or night footage compared to that. And I have videos covering night footage for both of these drones. I do have to do a proper night test for the Air 3. I will do that too.
Sounds like a good plan. Cool.
Yeah.
So drop your comments because we'll probably wrap up the live stream soon. I'm just going to put up this comment here from Zane regarding remote control and connectivity. With the RC2, this guy here, this is the new controller that came out alongside the Air 3. And I really like the RC, the original RC that came out. But the RC2, what they've done is they've added antennas on top here, which allows you to adjust, I guess, the angle that you're sending the signals out. So that can definitely improve the connectivity that you're going to have. It's also capable of OcuSync 4, which is the first drone that's got OcuSync 4. So that's 20 kilometers of range. The other thing would be that it's 32 gigabytes of internal storage on this controller. And it's also got better internals than the original RC. So it's a lot more responsive. Like when you're tapping, swiping, doing different things, it's definitely a lot more responsive. So that's probably the big upgrade for controller connectivity and range for the Air 3. Yeah.
Have you noticed any breakups when you're flying around?
No, I haven't had any issues. It's been very reliable, very, very reliable. What about for you?
I had one situation where I was capturing a boat, and it was like 300 meters away, and the signal started breaking up. Like it was kind of weird. I don't know why, but apart from that, it has been. I agree with you. It has been pretty stable.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you normally have issues with other controllers and other drones?
Yeah. Don't talk about the first smart controller. I hated that thing. It was the worst piece of junk I ever spent my money on.
Yeah.
So I definitely like those. Those I have become a lot better. That's for sure. And is it worth investing in these compared to using your phone and the RCN one? Yeah, I think it is. The ease of use that you just have these. You have everything set, charged. You know the batteries are charged. This one is charged. You just go out and fly. I fly a lot more with this setup than I did previously with when I had to rig up the phone. And I also had overheating issues with my iPhone. Kept overheating every time that I was out. So smart controllers. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, they've done a great job with them. So Zane's got another question regarding intelligent flight modes. I feel like we did cover most of them. Is there anything that regarding intelligent flight modes with the Air 3?
Not other than they work pretty well. I'm using the spotlight mode very often as a way of capturing stuff that I want in focus. Yep. It's a really nice feature that you could just log onto a subject and then you simply just fly around and then the camera will stay focused on whatever it is that you have logged in. I think you can produce some really nice images. The availability, that's the same. I guess it's the same as the Classic. I can't remember if you have the same active track controls on the Mini 3 Pro as you have on the other ones. You know the one with the circle.
Yeah, as in the spotlight. Are you talking about spotlight? Sorry, or the circle mode? The
active track mode. If the directional active track, if that's also written down to a Mini 3 Pro. I have not been flying the Mini 3 Pro for a while, so I can't really comment if that's the case.
Yeah. So from my understanding, the Mini 3 Pro has Active Track 4 and the Air 3 has Active Track 5. So it doesn't have the directional tracking. So it does have the same spotlight and the same point of interest. I think they're both version 2.0, I think. But Active Track is the previous version, so it doesn't have directional tracking. Yeah. And I guess all the other flight modes, like in terms of like master shot, the circle, the rocket, all those intelligent flight modes, we haven't really seen any new ones. Yeah, we haven't seen any new ones for a while. Yeah.
But I don't use them very often.
No, neither do I.
I
really like Spotlight.
Also the master shot. I only used it when I'm doing videos about it. So it's like...
I'm the same. I think there's potential. I said it ages ago. If they gave us more control over master shots, if we were able to actually, customize the mission, choose what scenes we want to go in, if we had the control to go, I want it to do this one, then go here, then do this one, I feel like it would be a lot more usable. But it's like, it's just so controlled, like it's just generated, and you don't really have many.
It takes the creativity out of it, so it's kind of what is the next step? That you just press go, and then it will take off and do its stuff, and then come back when it's done.
That's it. Just fully automated. Fully
automated.
So Drone Man Eyes in the Sky says, was asking, when shooting in 4K 100 frames per second setting, do I need to slow that down with editing to get the slow motion effect? No, you don't. So it's basically an option. So when you go on video, you have the option for video, and then you have the slow motion option. So you can record 4K 100 frames per second or 1080p 200 frames per second. And then it will actually record in slow motion. So when you view it back, it will already be slowed down, which makes it nice and easy. Nice. You don't have to edit it or play with it. It's just ready to go.
But I would like a 90 or 120 FPS option, because it's kind of weird that I'm getting 100. Because I'm always using a 30 FPS timeline, even though that I'm in Europe. So it really doesn't add up.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, and because I'm in Australia, we use PEL 25. So I guess 100 works for me, but it's like, it is funny, isn't it, how they try to please.
I don't know how I ended up doing 30, but at some point I read that this was sort of the best supported format for YouTube. So it's like I've done all my footage in 30, so it would be quite a hassle for me to shift to 25. But I need to be aware of this when I'm working with clients, because it would be a shame to go to a location and record everything in 30, and they use their main cameras in 25.
Yeah. All right. So Zane's got another one. So we'll probably wrap up very soon. But Zane says, can you explain any new features or improvements related to camera technology in the Air 3 compared to its predecessor? So I guess we've covered a lot of this. The main thing would be, a lot of people comment, so the Air 3 is capable of capturing 48 megapixel stills. A lot of people comment saying that it's not true 48 megapixel. So it's using like a processing technology that, what do they call it? Dual Bayo, I think it's called.
Quad Bayo.
Quad Bayo, that's it.
Yeah.
So it uses that. And do we know how that works? Because I'm going to butcher it if I try to explain it. Is it just kind of...
Yeah, but it has the actual 48 megapixels. So there are 48 megapixels there, but what they do is they bin 4 pixels together. I don't know, I can't explain the exact way that it's done, but there are some pretty good articles online that is describing this. But what I have done is I've done a comparison where I've taken images 12 megapixel, both with the tele and wide angle lens. And I've done that in 48 megapixels. And those are available on the Tech Drone Media website that you can download. So you can basically spot out the differences yourself. It's not that bad, actually. If you use it under good light conditions, the 48 megapixel is not a bad option. But again, if you plan to post it on Facebook, it's not worth the file sizes that you're going to deal with doing 48 megapixels. Then maybe the 12 megapixel would be a better option.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And I guess the other thing is, we mentioned it right at the beginning, but just the fact that we actually didn't mention it, but both camera systems are 1/1.3 inch CMOS sensors, which is the same as the Mini 3 Pro. But they do both have different f-stops, both different apertures. So the 1.7 on the wide angle, the 2.8 on the medium telephoto. From what I was told from DJI, apparently the medium telephoto system is the same as the Mavic 3's medium telephoto system. So it is the same system, from my understanding.
And the 1/1.3 inch sensor is also used in the Mini 3. It's not only in the Pro. It's in both Mini 3s.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
And a great sensor, really. It is a great sensor. No real issues with it. You were saying to me the other day that the Air 3 is probably one of your favorite drones at the moment. Is that still the case?
It's still the case, yeah.
Yeah.
it checks all the boxes. It's not that and I really don't have a choice basically right now in terms of smaller drones, as my Mini 3 Pro is down. It has a serious focus issue. That it needs to go in for repair. Kind of loses focus all the time, so it's I can't really use it.
Yeah, right.
But that wouldn't change it basically, because I can take the Air 3 all the same places, because I have the A1, A3 drone certificate, so I can take the drone everywhere the same places as I could do with the Mini 3 Pro. I
Yeah,
also
nice.
recognize that a lot more people have the Mini 3 Pro and the Mini 3 series than the Air 3. So I will continue making videos around it, no doubt about that. But if I have to go on a job or do some professional kind of work, I will most likely grab the Air 3.
Yeah, nice.
That's for sure.
Oh, awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So for everyone still listening in, we've got 15 people listening in at the moment. So thank you, firstly, for watching our live stream. Definitely go and check out Henrik's channel, Tech Drone Media. So he's got a bunch of different comparisons or different tests with the Air 3. He's tested a bunch of other drones over there. So definitely go and check out his channel and subscribe. And I guess also go and check out, actually, because we're going to be doing a live stream in the next couple of hours. So if you got any other questions that are still brewing, definitely go over
3
there.
hours from now.
Yep.
I think it is.
So keep those questions for that live stream as well. Is there anything else, Henrik, that you wanted to say before we wrap up?
No, I think just want to say thank you. It has been a pleasure being here and talking to you and interacting a little bit with your audience. So that's basically it from my side.
Nice. Cool. All right, guys. We'll definitely go and check out Tech Drone Media and tune in the next 3 hours for our next live stream over there. And we will talk to you very soon. Thank you, everyone.